I killed him. Yes, poor Edgar Allan Poe. This new latest lecture was inspired today as I was teaching perhaps the most occult short story I know, The Cask of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe. And I realized while teaching that my understanding of this story has evolved considerably since I taught it, since I did a different little lecture 6 years ago. I believe it's still up on YouTube. Where are you? Ah, there it is. That was me about 6 years ago. And well, I treated the story as a prophecy, as a warning, but actually, it's actually more about the past and present. Let's have a look at this crazy story. Amontillado, the Cask of Amontillado. If you don't know it, um, you will after this. Um, one moment. Will be my reinterpretation. I just discovered too that good old Edgar Allan Poe was a West Point boy. Yes, look at that. One moment. From West Point cadet to one of America's most prolific poets. Funny how that works, eh? He was dishonorably discharged, but probably collected a lifetime of pension or dishonorable payments. So many of these literati, musicians, maybe painters, have connections to the military. He was there in the 1960s, just about the time when the the opposing generals of the Civil War were pretending to fight. Yes, those good buddies, Civil Point. What's it called again? West Point buddies. College dropout. Well, wouldn't we all want to be college dropouts and still have the support of the publishing industry for our morbid fantasies? Most of his work is a little more than that, with, of course, very, very polished and advanced vocabulary. Um, Beyond that, I don't credit him with much. Um, his death-obsessed writings, so-called Gothic literature, was intended to entertain and torture, let's call it torture us, distract us, because they have a history of bringing death to us. Not through war, of course, that's theater. But they do bring death to us through their entertainments and medical system, and they have other ways. And that gives them the illusion that they are masters of death, whereas they are merely masters of deception, theft, and killing. A master of death, I mean a master of the thought or idea of death, is someone who has no ego because he is not afraid to die. And without an ego, he has no aversion to being insulted. In fact, a master of mind, a master of death, is happy to insult himself playfully, for that is the highest form of comedy, which is self-effacing comedy. Well, it turns out that the villain in the Cask of Amontillado lacks precisely that quality. A man named Fortunato insulted him. So he, the villain, vows revenge and achieves it in one of the most occult stories I know. So let me share that story. I'll have to be going back between my PDF and the my tabs. Bear with me as I try to manage. Where are you? There. So there are. It's quite a story. I don't think I'll read the whole thing. Turns out a few words are more important than anything else in this story. Um, well, there it is. The thousand injuries of Fortunato I had borne as best as I could, but when he ventured upon insult, I vowed revenge. Mhm. And he's deceiving this poor man who dared to insult, unwittingly probably, the villain whose name is Montresor. Very aristocratic name. And for revenge, he appeals to Fortunato's greatest weakness, his pride or his ego regarding his or around his knowledge of wines. He's a connoisseur. No, he's actually a quack, according to Montresor. And so he tricks Fortunato in thinking he has this wonderful wine and that he needs Fortunato's expertise to test its quality for him to make sure it's genuine. Well, Amontillado. It's an interesting name, I believe. Edgar Allan Poe invented for this story. The story which, as my analysis of these words will show, is really a story about the adrenochrome addicts that I've been exposing. Yeah, so this story is more confirmation of my rather unique, I suppose, uh, arguments and evidence. Amontillado, what does it mean? Let's have a look at a couple of tabs I've left open. Uh-huh. Montresor, yeah, I haven't done much with that. Resor means spring, as in the physical spring that has tension. Amount of tension, Montresor. Not sure yet what to do with that, but the name of the wine, Amontillado, has the word Amun in it, sometimes spelled with double M. It turns out Amun, the Egyptian god, was sometimes portrayed with horns. Now, contrary to most theorists, most conspiracy theorists, most experts on demons and devils. The horns do not indicate or represent some powerful evil force. On the contrary, the horns represent common prey animals, the prey that probably is still hunted, it's still farmed and eaten. So, and of course, these look like ram's horns, sheep horns. So we're back to Jesus too, the great donator of flesh and blood. Amontillado. Tillado um, is actually Spanish for tilling the soil. But turns out that uh, older roots in Middle Dutch include the meaning to breed and to raise. So that is, again, connecting to my work on this adrenochrome cannibal cult that was breeding, or is probably still breeding, farming humans underground, probably in secret military underground bases. Um, and of course, by coincidence entirely, the story, The Cask of Amontillado, is mostly set underground in a catacomb. Turns out somehow, yes, somehow, Montresor, the villain's house, is connected to Rome's, I suppose it's Rome's underground catacombs. Who would have thought that? Yes. Back to the text. Where are you? There you are. Amontillado, this poor Fortunato is crazy about it. He's heard about it somewhere and is persuaded to go see it. But to see it, he has to enter the vaults, which turn out to be connected to the catacombs. Yeah, it seems like Poe was also hinting that um, bodies buried normally were not exhumed and then brought into the catacombs. No, it sounds as if he's telling us that people were tricked into entering the catacombs, entering these, yes, not catacombs, underground prison farms. And how were they tricked? With the promise of food after destroying native people's food resources. It was very easy to persuade them to enter these underground complexes with the promise of food, or to persuade them to enter fortresses. I've spoken about with the promise of food. Put on a smile, as Montresor does in this story. Promise something they want. In this story, it is wine. Montresor dresses up for the occasion in black silk. Yeah, almost like those priests, the monks, was it the Benedictines, the Dominicans? I suspect something like this happened. Um, the WCC, the World Cannibal Cult, destroyed native people's food resources by destroying forests and trees, which is why so few old growth forests exist. And that's one reason for that. Certainly in this region where I am presently, There weren't ever really, not that I know of, trees worth much here. Fruit trees, I suspect, yes, but not hardwood trees. Um, and once that food resource was destroyed, they sent out they sent out the nice people, the good police, with promises of food, bread, fish, maybe alcohol. And that's how they lured people into, native people into, yeah, human prison farms, fortresses, and underground complexes. Um, there we go. The catacombs of the Montresors. Yes, his family has their own catacombs. Well, the family of the aristocrats. And as they walk down deeper and deeper into the catacombs, Montresor has arranged for them to find bottles of wine. So this is how he's keeping Fortunato drunk, too drunk to understand that he probably shouldn't be following this man deep, deep into a catacomb in order to taste some special wine. So the first wine bottle is a draft of Medoc, an interesting name for wine. I don't know wines, I don't know alcohol anymore, but turns out this is important. Medoc is associated with a region of France that is famous for producing red wine. Red wine is important here because it is yet another Christian symbol, in this case, the symbol for blood. Before long, they do find another bottle of wine. This one is called the grave, the grave. It's supposed to be Dutch. Oh, the grave. Well, that's a bit of foreshadowing. Medoc and the grave. Um, while they chat uh, during this journey into the towards hell, um, Montresor explains that his family has a uh, coat of arms that displays a human foot d'or, a golden foot on a blue field, with the foot crushing a serpent rampant whose fangs are embedded in the heel. It does sound like an image of conflict between the serpent and a human foot, just like God prophesied in the Bible. But it's more than that. Behind it, it's an occult image for something much, much different, very different. The serpent represents the syringe used by the adrenochrome addicts. And the heel is a interesting word. It's a homophone for the other word, heal. Adrenochrome is used for healing, for um, reviving, invigorating, for defying, well, rejuvenating, that's the word. Temporarily delaying death, extending one's life. Um, and on that same coat of arms are the words, the Latin words, Nemo me impune lacessit. Oh, I don't know Latin, but you can see it here. And well, let's go back to my tabs. There we go. There's Medoc. And here is that phrase, Nemo me impune lascit. Well, it means no one provokes me with impunity. That's as Montresor swears, no one will insult me with impunity. I will have revenge. And well, this is an actual phrase used on coats of arms. At least the coat of arms of Scotland. The lion and the unicorn. I think Canada or Britain has the same animals. Why a unicorn? Hmm. A unicorn has that one horn for piercing. Could it be a reference, an allusion to the syringe of the adrenochrome addicts? Um, could it be by chance? Well, back to the story. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Well, I think I've covered most of the occult language. There is a little fun here where Fortunato broaches the subject of Freemasonry, the Brotherhood, and Montresor says he is one of them too. Fortunato says, impossible. You, a Mason? Yes, a Mason, he replies. And as his evidence, he produces a trowel, not a square, not a compass, but a trowel, an actual builder's tool, an actual mason's tool. And, well, poor drunk Fortunato thinks he's joking, but this is no joke because Montresor will use that trowel to build a wall around Fortunato, unfortunato, and he will leave him there, tied, chained to the wall, and he leaves. He leaves without any guilty conscience. Leaves this poor man, who's dressed like a jester, by the way. Um, I guess to indicate that the joke is on him. It's supposed to be ironic. Sick irony. Uh, Montresor does confess in the end. My heart grew sick. Yeah, not because he's killing a man for the mere crime of insulting him, but because of the dampness of the catacombs. Yep. And he finishes his Masonic work. Brutal story. And somehow we are expected by teachers, professors, academics, scholars to respect Edgar Allan Poe and to assume that somehow this story has something to teach us. That maybe Edgar Allan Poe didn't approve of the villain's behavior. there is no evidence in this story that Poe did not or was critical of Montresor's evil plot and petty mind. All this murdering a man for an insult. Um, well, I hope I will keep it short. And I just couldn't resist doing a quick lecture on a little story that supports so much of what I've been saying. I hope you enjoy it. I'll be back with something very different, no doubt.